am Gregory Hallows, and this is Preserve Halloween Podcast. So, I've been watching a lot of movies this month. I put out a 61 Days of Halloween list, and it's stayed pretty consistent the past few years. It's a list for movie watching for September and October. A lot of people love to make lists during October. I love reading lists. I love seeing other people's projects. There's always Drawloween and 31 days of horror movies or 31 days of Halloween movies. It's a lot of fun. And it gets people involved and it gets people to enjoy, the season, which is great. The thing that I've noticed is, and I don't know if this is just recent or if it's me just being nitpicky, or I don't really know, but it seems to me that there are a lot of critical horror movie fans now who don't like anything new. And it's strange to me. Like, I haven't seen it yet, and I really want to because I know someone involved with the movie. The Exorcist Believer, I really want to see it. The Exorcist is considered one of the greatest horror movies and just movies in general of all time by a lot of people. But it seems like there are certain people that, I'm trying to say this nicely because it's going to sound really crappy, probably. But there are a lot of people that don't like anything new. And there's only so many times you can watch Friday the 13th or, Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Nightmare on Elm Street. And the thing about it is, some of those movies that we love as kids aren't that good. I believe, and this is why I really sucked as a movie critic, because I tried that for a while because I just love movies. I always seem to find something good about pretty much every movie I watch because I understand the work it takes to go into it. I understand, whoever decided to make this movie put some kind of their life into it. So I try to find something good. And, it's not always easy because not every movie is good. And let's be honest. But not every movie is bad either. There are a lot of movies that were made specifically to entertain us. And if that works, doesn't matter if the story was weird or if it doesn't make sense or, it's not what you like. It could still be a good movie and you not like it. Because there's plenty of movies I've watched that I know were great. Like, technically great, story-wise great, a really, really good movie. But I didn't like it. And that's okay. But it doesn't mean it was bad. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling like we all know that I tend to do. The reason I wanted to record this podcast is because I've seen a lot of hatred and dislike for remakes. And The Exorcist is not a remake. Exorcist Believer, let me say it the right way. The Exorcist Believer is not a remake. It is a continuation of the first movie. But when it was first announced, of course, a lot of people assumed it was a remake. There's been remakes of The Omen. There's been remakes of Evil Dead. There's been remakes of a lot of horror movies. And I get why that irritates people. And I've had this conversation with Joe Bob Briggs at an event, and it's just something that I find interesting. If you look at the rosters of a lot of horror conventions, you see a lot of the same people because people keep wanting to meet the horror celebrities that they love, and that's fine. But at what point do we cross over and start accepting the new people? Like, I'm very excited that I saw, and I can't remember, I apologize, but at a recent convention, one of the actors from Smile was there, and of course, Stranger Things kids blew up on the convention circuit. But I digress. The reason I wrote this, or not wrote this, the reason I wrote down this idea for a podcast is because I just don't understand why people seem to want to tear apart all the new stuff. I've strayed away from online like groups that discuss movies and things like that because it seems like a lot of them just want to tear apart anything new. And I get it. I love, my favorite movie of all time is The Omen. And I didn't like the remake, but I don't think it's horrible. And I wouldn't, go out of my way to not watch it or talk bad about it until someone else has their chance. Because it may end up being someone's favorite movie. And that's the thing. Any movie that exists is the favorite movie to someone. Same with music, same with sports, same with everything. There's someone that likes something that you don't like. And that's fine. I'm getting too old. I said this the other day online. I'm getting too old to really argue about whether people are right or wrong about certain things. I want to adopt the mentality that Keanu Reeves has, that if somebody wants to believe that 1 + 1 is 3, let them. Like, what does it bother you? You draw the line on certain things that are, politically important or socially important. Yeah, but entertainment things or frivolous things like that have no bearing on someone living or dying. If someone wants to believe their opinion of it, let them. Because, you're not going to change their mind. If somebody thinks the remake of The Evil Dead is better than the original, let them. Because it is to them. So I made a list, or I started looking up, like, movies that are remakes that don't get enough credit or people just tend to hate. Or I even looked up movies that people don't understand are based on something they might not know. So like the Evil Dead remake came out in 2013, which is, good Lord, 10 years ago. And that was a really good movie. Jane Levy is a wonderful actress. And I loved that movie. It was not the original, but it was really good. So a lot of times these movies, if they had a different name, I think people might have liked them more. I don't know. But take, for instance, there's a movie from 1982 called Cat People with Natasha Kinski. That's a remake of an old, I don't remember what year, but it's a remake of an older movie. There's a remake of Suspiria. There's a remake of Night of the Living Dead. I Am Legend with Will Smith was a remake of Last Man on Earth. The Crazies had a remake, which the new one it really enjoyed. With Timothy Olyphant and Rhoda Mitchell, Danielle Panabaker. That was a great movie. Then there's, of course, remakes that are foreign to English, like The Ring. I enjoy Ringu. I enjoy The Ring, collectively. Then you can go back to, classic movies like Dracula, which was remade in the 90s, Bram Stoker's Dracula, which everyone seems to love. Gary Oldman, Winona Ryder, Anthony Hopkins, Keanu Reeves, who I mentioned earlier, all in this wonderful, wonderful movie. And then you have a movie like Fright Night that universally is loved by horror fans, the original. And they put out one in 2011 with Colin Farrell and David Tennant and Anton Yelchin, who I remember when it came out, people just did not want to like it, which I don't understand. Dawn of the Dead from 2004 is a remake, which I absolutely loved. The one that everyone always mentions when you talk about are remakes necessary is John Carpenter's The Thing. Like, that's a remake. And it's kind of the cliche go-to when you talk about remakes being good, but it's good. Uh, the new It, both new It movies are great. Uh, The Fly's a remake from David Cronenberg. Nosferatu's been remade plenty of times. Good. What else? Evil Dead 2 is basically a remake of itself. Argue with me, that's fine. Um, but then you get into movies like Child's Play just had a remake in 2019. I don't know if it was necessary because the TV show is amazing. Um, the remake, I'm not really sure uh, if it was necessary, but whatever. Uh, what else? Black Christmas got remade. The Town That Dreaded Sundown got remade. I mean, there's so many remakes. House of Wax, which I enjoyed, from 2005. I thought that was a good movie. Invisible Man was remade by Lee Whannell. That was a huge departure from the original. Um, I think 13 Ghosts was a remake. I have to look into that. I think it was. This is all off House on Haunted Hill from 1999. That's a remake of the old Vincent Price starring movie, and I really enjoyed that. Um, Texas Chainsaw Massacre has been remade a bunch of times, and that was from 2003. Jessica Biel, everyone remembers her from that movie, I think. Maniac was remade with Elijah Wood. Uh, the Thing's always like at the top of remake lists. But then, um, what else? Friday the 13th's been remade. I mean, God, you can go on and on. There's tons of movies that are remade. And now, I guess my argument is, do people not like it because it's a remake and they just want something new and fresh? Or do they think that the originals can never be beaten or better? Not sure about that. Sometimes the remake is way better. And sometimes the remake introduces a new generation to the original, and maybe they'll go back and watch the old one and say, hey, I didn't know this was a remake, because not everybody knows. But what I found interesting, like I said, was I started looking into movies that weren't necessarily remakes, but like, did you know how many movies were based on Shakespeare? Like movies that this is going to go off topic of Halloween, it's just me ranting, but did you know the movie with Amanda Bynes, She's the Man, is based on Shakespeare? This is going to get super nerdy, but She's the Man is an adaptation of Twelfth Night. West Side Story is a remake of, or not a remake, I guess, adaptation of Romeo and Juliet. 10 Things I Hate About You, one of the greatest movies, I think, with Heath Ledger and Julia Stiles. That's a retelling of Taming of the Shrew. Movies like The Lion King, that is based on Hamlet. Like, there are a lot of movies that are based on other things that people absolutely love. But for some reason, if you remake a horror movie, you already got a bunch of people not liking it. And some people who know me will wonder, why the hell are you talking so much about horror movies at Halloween? Because you've made it very clear that Halloween movies and horror movies are not the same thing. And they're not. But this is a thing I've noticed a lot, because you see a lot of horror and Halloween movie lists at this time. And if you say you watched a certain movie, generally you get two reactions. Either people absolutely hate it, or they're excited that you mentioned it. I've watched a bunch of movies this month that I've either forgotten about or have never gotten a chance to watch. I've been watching like sometimes 4 or 5 movies a day. And, how do I do that? Well, I sit in an office most days working and I have it on in the background. So that's how I watch so many movies is I just leave it on while I'm at work. So it's good for me. But I'm interested to know what you guys think are some of the best remakes or movies that you didn't realize were based on something like a comic or like Road to Perdition is based on a graphic novel. A lot of people don't know that. The Tom Hanks movie. Really, really good movie if you haven't seen it. But I'm going to continue. I am approaching 40 movies I've watched so far this month. I'm hoping to break 60. That's my goal, which I think I'll easily do it. But I am traveling quite a bit. I'm going to Texas this weekend to do some more promotion for Preserve Halloween Fest. We just announced Andre Gower from Monster Squad. We have a couple more announcements to make. Not a ton, but it's going to be a fun show. Costume contest, trick-or-treating. We really want kids to dress up and come out and trick-or-treat. I always do my best to convince the vendors to bring candy. I bring pumpkin pails for all the vendors so they can have an easy place to fill up. $500 cash prize costume contest is always fun. Photo ops will be there. There's photo ops with Bob Elmore and Carolyn Williams in costume from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, so that'll be cool. Doug Jones is there, who's been in tons of things. If you don't know, he's in What We Do in the Shadows. He was in Hocus Pocus. He was Silver Surfer in the Fantastic Four movie. He was in like so much stuff. Shape of Water. He's an awesome guy. Like, to meet him, you're gonna get a hug, and it's like the greatest hug you've ever gotten in your life. So there's always that. The 3 young Sanderson sisters from Hocus Pocus 2 will be there. They're lovely kids. Count Gordeval's coming back. Ashley Levy, who I mentioned earlier, did work on Exorcist Believer. I can't wait to talk to her more about the process that she worked with for the movie. It's going to be a fun show. You can find out more info on that at preservehalloweenfest.com. I am going to try to put out more podcasts this month and continue, forever. But for some reason, as always, I looked and I was like, man, I haven't put out a podcast in 2 months. What's going on? So I just put out one the other day. I'm recording this and I'm going to put it out as soon as I finish recording it because, as you guys know, I don't do any kind of mastering or editing or none of that. I basically turn my phone on, record it. As soon as I'm finished, I post it because I just think it's better that way for me. There's a lot of fun stuff coming up. Halloween is halfway over because I consider October Halloween. We're getting close to the end of the month, and then we got to pack up and do this all over again. Most of us continue all year. It's not easy. We continue through November because of the fest, but then kind of things slow down. I always make the plan to continue, pushing Halloween all year, but it's not easy because there's not a lot of content. So I guess I need to make more. And I'm thankful for all the people out there that do this 12 months a year because I love seeing Halloween anything all year round. So I'm excited about what you guys are putting out. I'm excited about what we're going to see for the next 2 weeks. I'm excited to figure out what movies I'm going to keep watching because a lot of it's just random. I turn on Amazon Prime or Netflix or whatever and see what's suggested to me. I do have a list. Like, I'm going to watch Houses October Built very, very soon because it's one of my favorite movies. I watch it every year. I just talked to one of the guys that made the movie the other day. Great guys, those guys are. I'm hoping that I can get them back soon for a fest. See what they're working on. They're always promoting haunted houses. And like I said, I'm going to Texas the end of this week, and I'm going to visit a bunch of haunted houses and promote the show. So if anyone hears this, you're in Texas, you want us to bring you some flyers or posters for the upcoming show, let me know. I've got a list of places I'm going to go, but I always love to add to it. Flying in and renting a car and just doing as much as I can in a few days and then flying home and maybe go back one or two more times because I really want this Halloween show to be big. It's always fun. I almost forgot. I've been trying to decide what I wanted to decorate the show with because I always have inflatables because those are fun and people like the photos with them. And I have my 12-foot skeleton. I tried to buy another one this year, but I can't find one. There was a local Home Depot that said they had one online because I have an online like inventory tracker. Said they had one. I called them this morning and they're like, oh no, we don't have one. I was like, well, I'm glad I called you because it was like 2.5 hours away. But I really would like to find another one just because I like having pairs of things. Just, I don't know, it's weird, like a balance thing. But I found a bunch of new inflatables that I may be buying because I want to, like, my goal is to just fill that building with, or whatever, wherever we do the Halloween show, I want to fill it with inflatables and just make it look fun. But I bit the bullet and I want as many photos with this thing as possible at the show in November, but I bought one of those 26-foot tall inflatable pumpkins. I hope that it fits in the building because I think the ceilings are 35 feet, but God, I hope I'm not wrong. It's going to be a real letdown if I get there and I can't blow this thing up, but I bought this thing. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm excited to see how big it is. I've seen only pictures, but I'm excited to see what it turns out and looks like. So until next time, thank you for listening to me ramble on about remakes and movie lists and what's going on and what's coming up. I really, really enjoy getting to ramble on about Halloween with you guys. So thank you for listening. And until next time, preserve Halloween.